targeted American. Black ops have a dramatic impact on the lives of targeted Americans. Throughout our history in America, it has been noted that black ops is an activity which is outsourced. If you move to a different state and you're being targeted by elderly people, these are typically veterans. In 99.9% of the cases where I've investigated those which have harassed me that were elderly, they were tied to like a Masonic group, they were ex-military, they were a veteran. And a lot of these safety groups, community engagement groups that may be used, tapped into, have partnerships with law enforcement, so it makes it where law enforcement doesn't get involved. There are cases in some states that I lived at where I've been harassed by cops, community engagement groups, public engagement groups, diversity and inclusion groups, women's empowerment groups. The list goes on. This even goes as far as some universities. In Texas, I was harassed by members of the University of Texas Office of Community Engagement, and later found out they were receiving contracts from police and federal partners and harassing people, from what I understand, from other targets. The reason why this activity is not verified by psychologists and other professionals in counterterrorism is because of non-disclosure agreements. This information that many targets are sharing concerning their targeting is typically classified because it's coming from a contractor. Now, black ops are typically done in a manner based on deniable plausibility, and they do impact single individuals. On a micro scale, these attacks are done. They may use 2 or 3 people here, a few people here, and they rotate throughout these large pools of contractors. Some of these contractors I've tracked down drive to other states to target people. Some drive 120 miles and they're given per diem, they're compensated for gas, a certain amount for food. So there's a lot of perks for people doing this. So billions of dollars are siphoned off from the government to target people with no ties to terrorists, people that don't use drugs, they don't commit crimes, they don't support human trafficking, they're not doing anything illegal. The NSA can tell you that. So why are people being targeted for long periods of time? Well, it's to help veteran groups, veterans, at one time diversity and inclusion partners. You may notice that some of these contractors have made millions. I know one that's on a government list as a contractor. She has no skills. She's a beautician and she's made over $2.1 million from DOD. Doesn't make a lot of sense. They are people which have figured out ways to abuse the system and siphon off millions of dollars for operations which are unneeded, which are wasteful, and which pose a direct threat to our security and safety and to public health. But they've been getting away with this for a long time due to fraud. My targeting started due to a 1996 case. I passed a polygraph test, still targeted. Things perpetrators may do is they may go in stores, schools, malls, airports, even doctor's offices. I have just a few weeks ago, I went to a place called CNC. I think it's called CNS. It's in downtown Orlando. And I was looking at getting treatment for anxiety. And the lady told me there's a guy that flashed a badge. He's sitting in a room next to you. I'm like, what's his deal? It's like, we don't know. He just wants to sit here. So we let him in. So while they're drawing my blood, he whistles one time really loud, and then he walks out the place. And the week prior, I seen this same guy as I'm exiting the elevator of this clinic to go to my car, and he walks by me and he whistles one time really loud the exact moment he passes by me. That's not a crime. Now, if he was to do this everywhere I went, it would be a crime. I have videos where I go to supermarkets for 6 years. It's recently toned down. And they'll come as a group, go, and then walk right out. Then the next day was somebody else. Then the next day somebody else. Then the next day somebody else. I have videos in Texas where I'm walking back to my car and a woman starts jogging. The moment she passes by me, she stops and goes, and then she runs back to her car. And she has no tag on her car. This was every day. In Texas, it was around 40 to 45 times a day I would experience the skid. And I noticed the people utilized were typically Blockwatch members, Citizens Corps partners, InfraGard, FBI, the CIA, which utilized the Citizens Corps programs, Army personnel, active duty military, select partners. Very few were used, but select partners were used, keeping everyone on the base in the dark. So they must have a DHS, CIA, interlocal agreement with fusion centers. So the information sharing concerning targets typically revolves around passing information down to public safety partners. And typically they'll back off when they see that you've been living in the area for years and you've complained about being harassed nonstop and have never harmed anybody. They start to see the fraud. And these people get angry because you haven't reacted to these psyops in the way they expected you to. So you've beaten the odds. They harass families, they harass kids. I have videos where I'm eating with family and then the exact moment I'm walking out, a group gets behind me and screams and then walks right back to the restaurant. They do all these skits to infuriate the target, so that way the target goes out and buys a gun and then is ready to be harassed and takes out their anger on this person in retaliation. So that way they can say, oh, he was a terrorist, we told you. So don't go that route. I don't harm people, I don't harass people, I don't break laws, I don't use drugs. A matter of a fact, my cell phone is on high location. Why should I have to hide from transgender people, radical feminists, ex-US Army females, 8A business vendors? I'm not going to be hiding because I'm not a terrorist. I don't commit crimes, so I have no reason to hide anything. A while back, I went to see my grandmother, and something really weird occurred. A car with a U.S. government tag shows up, and the guy stands right in front of this retirement center. And then he walks to his car as I go in. So I take my grandmother out, and there is a new person that just shows up as transgender that applies for a job there. And there's a new lady that was placed in this retirement center. And anytime I exited, she would go, "Sss." So I recorded it, and then one day I go to see my grandmother, and this transgender person brings this person and says, sit right here next to him. Remember what to do. I'm like, okay, this is weird. She whistled way over 200 times while I was sitting talking to my grandmother. I just ignored it. It didn't make a lot of sense. Then the next day, I take my grandmother out, and as we're walking out, the lady's right there where the door is at, and she goes, "Sss," and then opens the door. I'm like, ooh. So these are people, fellow TIs, that will also go into businesses, and they may flag you as a terrorist. I have business owners here in Florida and also in Austin, Texas. It's over 40 restaurants where these people would knock on doors. They wear black suits, thin black ties, and black shades. And for 5 years in Austin, Texas, they would say I'm a terrorist, I'm this and that. And what helped me was the fact that I tipped good, and I started conversations with the waiters. So they got to know me, and they knew that what they were being told was a lie, and they were being asked to whistle close to my plate, and they were being offered $50. So money is a huge component of this activity. Also, there are a lot of people which will do this thinking they're doing community policing. There are some cops which will fall for the false information, and don't take your anger out on cops. Cops are just trying to do their job. But let's face it, if you're a cop, if somebody says this guy's a terrorist, he's this and that, you're a cop, most likely you'll want to support that interagency partner in that interlocal agreement. They will also flag you. You can be eating, and this has occurred for years. I'm eating food with family, and they say there's an active shooter, a domestic terrorist, a rapist. They'll say the worst things imaginable, and police will come in a place running in there with guns when you're just eating. I had videos where you see the cops with their hands on the guns, and they're like, he's just eating food. You know, it's crazy. Videos going back over 20 years in different states. Save up money, fellow TIs, and if this activity doesn't stop, go to like Venezuela, Cuba, Russia. I'm actually learning how to type Russian right now on my computer. When I go home, I'm going to be practicing more Russian, learning some different languages, so that way I can have a better life, not be harassed by an 8A business vendor, a homeowner, a CIA asset, or a government contractor.